those who slept with your best friend, what happened? She came over, we sat on the bed while talking, then my wife undressed her, and we all effed each other's brains out. So, like, threesome, or is this the she was my wife all along thing? We both woke up naked and in the tent. The smell of Jim Beam, blood, and semen filled the tent. We both got up and got dressed without saying a word. We shaved our beards and never talked about it again. We still never talk sometimes. We are still good friends, and now he is also friends with my husband, who does know we slept together. He was a groomsman at our wedding, in fact. But things always have this slight awkwardness to him when he and I are alone together that there never was before we slept together. It's nice that you were able to remain friends and be open about that part of your past together with your husband, but yeah, sometimes, no matter how much you don't let it change things, it still kinda changes things. I married the crap out of her. Haha, same here. Effing a friend will, and this shows I'm a total psychic, either turn out badly, neutrally, or wonderfully. Yes, totally psychic. It is annoying when people suggest sleeping with a friend is some universally bad idea. I like seeing how many answers here end in, "we got married, it's great." I remember asking my husband once if he would have been friends with any of his exes absent the doing it, and it dawned on him. Holy crap, no. That deep friendship really needs to be there. I knocked her up. Then I had to make her wife so she could get on my insurance. We're still good friends, though. I don't have a best friend, but a group of friends, and I slept with one of them. Both of us regretted it and decided to hush it up. That was about 2 months ago, and I haven't heard anything about it yet. She has told her best friend, though. It could still bite me in the butt. I misread that first sentence and thought you and a group of friends all slept with one girl. See, here I was hoping they were going to be like, I don't have one best friend, I have a group of friends, and we all slept together. I went to work and messaged her the next day to see if we were still hanging out that night. Received nothing. Few weeks late, after not hearing anything, she told me to F off. She got convinced a few days later by her friend that I R'd her. I was drunk and trying to go home, she came on to me, I was going to sleep on the floor. Haven't heard from her since. We have been best friends since 2012, even when I went off to the military. I never understood how doing it can go from consensual to R after a few weeks. I understand calling it R the next morning if there were substances involved, but not when they are sober. Nope. Sorry, OP, but if you were drunk and she was sober, that doesn't somehow magically make it not R because your drunk recollection thinks she was into it. And she didn't decide it was R a few weeks later. She didn't reply to you the next effing day, so hey, here's hoping she presses charges. We got drunk, we slept together, we woke up in the morning, looked at each other, laughed, carried on. We're still best mates 13 years later. She was my best woman at my wedding. Your life sounds like the plot to a romantic comedy. Didn't know these kinds of people existed in real life. I was on vacation with a group of friends. One of my best friends was in that group. We were drunk and dancing one night and we started kissing and one thing led to another and we ended up sleeping together multiple times on that vacation. We were both worried the other would be weirded out because we've known each other for almost 10 years, but it wasn't weird at all. Up until then, I had only been curious about being with other women, and at 26, had only ever slept with and dated men, so kind of nerve-wracking, but it was amazing. She and I are now in a relationship and insanely in love. I wouldn't take back that first night for anything in the world. See, now these are the kind of stories I'm here for. That is sweet. We were best friends for 3 years, then we became transition lovers for each other to help get over bad breakups. It worked out so well that we are now married. We have been together romantically for 10 years. It is the easiest relationship ever. She really enjoyed it, talked about what she wanted to try next time. A couple days later, she said she didn't want to do any of it and only consented because she didn't want me to be upset. Then she ghosted the F out of me even after I tried to explain that I'm okay with not having a physical relationship. But she wanted nothing to do with it. So I lost a best friend who used to text me because I acted on some of her text fantasies. I'm sorry, man, if it's any consolation, at least you found out earlier rather than later. We weren't best friends, but we were really close. I was 19, she was 31. Should have realized the age gap would be an issue. We got drunk and ended up sleeping together, decided it wasn't the best idea. Then she went on a trip with me as friends, got drunk and ended up sleeping together, decided to see how this could go. Had a couple of great months, then she decided to end it on Christmas Eve. We got drunk and ended up sleeping together. Then she decided to teach me a lesson. Why and what that lesson was, I am still trying to work out nearly 20 years later. And shacked up with some other guy and mentioned him at almost every opportunity she could before cutting me out of her life. Was weird. The only time she got weird with me was when I asked her how she felt about me. Guess that was the beginning of the end. Saw her once and decided not to say hello. She looked annoyed with something. So yeah, it went well. We got drunk at a party and she invited me back to her place for a nightcap. We did it. It was magical. For me, it felt better than anyone else I've ever done it with. She came for the first time, so we started dating. Now, 10.5 years later, we're married and just had our first child. Honestly, if the rest of these stories are as sweet as this one, I'll be a happy camper. I love this stuff. But I suspect I'm not going to be that lucky. Let's find out. My best friend and I actually met by way of an awkward drunken one-night stand. We just ended up getting on super well the next morning and started hanging out a whole lot. There was never any serious hint of relationship potential there. Not at all what either of us was looking for at the time, but something obviously clicked. That was about 5 years ago. Now we live together. Destroyed our friendship. The intercourse wasn't good, and it was just awkward every time I saw her after that. We had just built it up in our head, and the pressure caused doing it to be forced and took the fun out of it. I would not recommend it. Yup, same. Banged one out for a few weeks, and I caught feelings, and she caught a new D. Totally destroyed our friendship. Her life is a very downward path, so I'm glad I dodged a bullet. Well, we got married. Turns out neither of us particularly understood why people seem to insist on dating strangers. Mostly because my friends are guys taken or have no interest in them that way. Strangers are the only option. Yeah, sometimes you have to venture outside of your friend group to find someone. This humble narrator met his partner through a dating site and we hit it off, but I think partially because we also instantly worked out so well as friends. Even though our first meeting was a date, friendship still really came first. We had been really close through high school and went to the same college, so stayed close. She was the girl my girlfriends didn't want me hanging out with because we were so close, and I can be flirty without meaning to be. One night we were out together and had both just gotten out of relationships. We went back to her place and hooked up. Went to breakfast in the morning, and it was weird. We both talked about how it felt weird and we shouldn't do this again because we are so close. Never happened again, and we are still really close to this day. My brother is engaged to her sister, so we will probably be close forever, and I couldn't be happier about how things went. It was awkward because we were both drunk and I wasn't really attracted to her, so I didn't even try to perform. Pulled out after a couple of minutes of boredom, and the next day she pretended that she blacked out and didn't remember anything when I tried to bring the incident up. She did me a favor by saving me from an awkward conversation, and we never spoke to each other again. It's been at least 5 to 6 years now. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. He was my roommate in college and also my then boyfriend's best friend. My then boyfriend cheated on me, and when he went home for the weekend, best friend and I got super drunk and he ended up kissing me and we hooked up. Don't remember anything at all, and only time we bring it up is if either one of us gets into new relationships and if we should tell them new significant other or not. 5 years later, we're still best friends, and he's actually the only person who I talk to on a consistent basis, and we go on vacations together. We are getting married in about 16 days, 7 hours, 35 minutes, and 14, 13, 12, 11. Is this timer based on the start of the ceremony? When you both say I do? When you're legally pronounced man and wife? If it's the latter, how did you account for the variation of the time it takes to say your vows? Obviously, the commenter has no idea just how in control a wedding planner can be. Trust me, things are timed out, or heads will roll. One of my good friends had recently broken up with her boyfriend. One drunken night, we slept together. After that, I kind of fell for her, but I didn't want to move too quickly, so I said we should hold off on doing the deed again. She lost interest and banged a series of guys, which caused me to lose interest. When I started dating someone else, she tried to get me to cheat, and I stopped talking to her. High school best friend. I was gay and out of the closet to everyone but my family. He, I assumed, was straight. One day after school, we were playing video games in the den at my house when he put his hand on my knee. I laughed at him, assuming he was joking around, when he leaned over and kissed me on the lips. We didn't do a lot of talking in the moment, but he later confessed to being gay/closeted and having a crush on me. He was from a super religious family and had no intentions on coming out, but throughout the rest of high school, we were best friends in public and boyfriends in private. Got into a huge fight the summer after graduation about him being in the closet, though, and that was that. We both said some pretty terrible things to each other, and looking back, I'm not even sure if he was ever interested in me as a friend so much as a warm body. 20 years later, we're still in the same circle of friends, but he's still in the closet, and I just rolled my eyes and went along with the story he told everyone about why we were no longer close. A bunch of our friends suspect the truth, but I've always shot them down since it's not exactly my secret to share. I'm really sorry to hear that. It's good that you haven't outed him before he's ready, but at the same time, kinda sad that he hasn't felt able to come out in 2 decades. Damn it, the story started out so sweet, too. Nothing happened. It's just doing it. We bang when we get together, but there aren't any pretenses that we're anything more than tightly knit F-friends. We do actively encourage and enable each other to C/F other people, and we talk shop about it like best friends do because we both get off on winging for each other. I get way too attached to do anything like this. 12-year friendship after dating briefly when we were 18. Hooked up last summer, he told me he wanted more. I'd just come out of a relationship and asked to take things slowly, and he agreed. After that, he kept canceling plans on me, avoiding calls. I eventually saw him a few months later. We acted coupley and arranged to meet the next day. He canceled again. I decided to reactivate my Facebook account and snoop. I'm not proud. And found out he'd had a girlfriend for 5 months. A relationship which started about a week after I asked if we could take things slowly. I haven't spoken to him since Christmas and don't plan to again. Our friendship is ruined, and I will always remember how easily he threw me away. F that guy, he doesn't deserve you. Stay strong. You aren't easy to throw away. He is just an a-hole who used you. That's on him, not you. It happened 3 or 4 weeks ago. We've been close friends for maybe 5 years, but had the drunken kiss a few times and never took it further. She was over at my place drinking wine the other week, and we got talking about why we drunkenly kissed, and we ended up doing it again. Then went upstairs and had amazing, passionate intercourse. It just felt so good. It just felt so good. The next day, she texted me and said, "It was fun, but can we leave it at that? I don't want either of us to be hurt or uncomfortable." And we haven't spoken about it again. I feel like it's changed our friendship. We don't talk to each other like we used to before, and I don't know if we can get that back. While it's not awkward, it's just different now. She seems shy and nervous now. I don't know if it will happen again. I don't know what to do. I feel like there are things we both want to say. I feel like it meant something to her too, and it scared the crap out of her, so she retreated. I'm somewhere between happy that it happened, optimistic that it might happen again, pessimistic that we effed it up, and regretful that we may have lost something. Only time will tell. My suggestion: don't just bottle that up and leave yourself pining and feeling that way. I know it'll be awkward, but communication is key. The best relationships, be they romantic or just friendship, are built on good communication. Keep not talking and you might lose everything. She took my virginity. I was a late bloomer, and we continued to date and had 4 years of awesome intercourse. The combination of young love with a best friend is fantastic. We eventually parted ways as marriage would not work for us, although both of us have been happily married for quite a while. I still think of her often, and on the few times I have spoken to her recently, it was just like a comfortable conversation with any old friend. We were at his bachelor's party. For it, a group of us guys went camping. It was about 2 weeks before his wedding. He got a little drunk, and so I played the straight man for it, making sure they didn't get into too much trouble. After he went skinny dipping because he forgot to bring shorts, he was pretty cold. We ended up sitting near the fire until they got warm, but they continued drinking. They eventually had to lie down because the world was spinning, and that was about as drunk as I'd ever seen them. I brought him to his tent so that he could go to sleep, but he had the fear that he was going to fall asleep and choke on his vomit. I'm a light sleeper though, so he wanted me to stay in the tent with him through the night and help him if he ended up throwing up. We slept together in the same tent, and luckily he didn't throw up. We both slept through the night. It was nothing special. Oh, I see what you did there. You tricked us. We were dating for 3 years before she became my best friend. I proposed and she said yes. Last week she said we needed to take a break to work on ourselves and that the relationship is over. But maybe in the future, when I've got my crap together and she's finished school, we can try again. That's what I'm hoping for anyways. I'll love her until the day that I die. Slept with a friend and coworker. We'd hang out for years after work and drink a lot, and she'd talk about all the dudes she slept with. One night of drunken Jenga and whiskey, we just got it on and woke up on the sofa with several used condoms strewn about. We decided to pretend this never happened, which, the good friend I am, I have been